super freaking cool that you are like one of the first people, if not the first person, to go out to a lot of these unnamed sites and to find and to bring that to the world, to bring it to YouTube, to bring it to people who have never seen what these sites look like. They're not even documented. They're not named. You've got all these looting pits. You've got bones and human remains everywhere, and nobody's really seen this before. I feel like, and so it's a big deal what you're bringing to people on your YouTube page, and I figured maybe you just start by just kind of walking us through what that was like getting there, and that whole experience, and then what did you see?
All right. Well, thank you. We can pull up one of the videos. The most I put a compilation together of my exploration in Nazca, and so I mean, some of I could have prepared better being alone and solo. There were a lot of I turned back twice because at some points things got a little too dicey and dangerous being out there solo. I didn't have a satellite phone or anything like that, but as I started to see more and more of what was being left out there, the importance of documenting this stuff became prevalent. I mean, just because you don't know how long it's going to be there for. You don't know if things are going to get looted more in the future. And nope, like you said, nobody's going out there and doing it, and I think this is a really, I mean, fortunately, it's something I'm passionate about, and I'm grateful that there is an audience that is receptive to it, or else it wouldn't get the eyes that it does. And so hopefully, eventually, this all leads to some sort of preservation and study. That would be the most ideal. The fact of the matter is, there are structures just there, buried, waiting to be excavated, and who knows what's there and what it's going to tell us, how old it goes. And so, I mean, in some of these, if Ryan, you want to pull up the Nazca video, we can go through some of the journey there.
Good.
And when you see the structures, because like that's what I'm looking for.
So it just looks like desert. I mean, this is
right there. Yeah.
Wow.
So those are. That's ancient architecture.
Yep.
And what's ironic is when you can see it from the satellite, you can see it from the drone, but when you're there, half the time you don't know you're standing in the middle of one of these structures. And so thank goodness for the technology that's helpful with this. So I saw these structures initially, but then as I panned out further, and Ryan, if you want to play that, you start to see the vastness of the looting.
So these are unnamed locations, unnamed sites. These are not archaeological sites.
This was not an archaeological site. I mean, it is. This particular one didn't have a Ministry of Culture sign. And so just a quick side note, what you'll often find is throughout the coast of Peru and in all of Peru, back when archaeologists or antiquarians were like combing the country looking for ancient sites, they would come across them and primarily look for treasures, but they would also do some site surveying, and so they would mark it down on the map and then move on to the next site. So the fact is, the majority of places that I came across had a Ministry of Culture sign. They haven't been studied in 50 years, and the original studies were a brief survey saying, okay, we found this, we think it's from this time, and then that's it. The money isn't there to do full excavation. Unless it's a tourist spot, these sites are not fully excavated at all. They do a test pit, they get dates, they jot it down, put it on a map, and then that's it. This did not have any Ministry of Culture sign. Mm-hmm. There were a handful of those that I found. We'll get into the undocumented temple later because that's a big one. Okay. But if you just fast forward through this, you'll see this stretch of 8 kilometers of looting, and then
wow. So all those holes are looting.
Those are looting pits.
Pits, yeah. And so people just go out there with shovels and they're just digging everywhere that they can dig and hoping to hit something.
And they found stuff. Like,
yeah.
you're only doing this much digging if you know you're finding stuff.
Right.
So, but the ironic part is, or not ironic, curious part is the fact that this stretched on for 8 kilometers.
Right.
8 full kilometers. So I'm wondering, were these ridges, generations of burials, or was it some mass battle or something like that? Because that's a lot of people.
A lot of kilometers. Yeah, no doubt.
And so if you fast forward a little bit, there's a great drone shot of what you see on the actual ground. Yeah, it's coming up here.
Wow. So now we're zoomed in. And we're seeing bones all over the place.
But you talk about like the efforts that go into making it to these places. This is I'm finding my way up these mountains, trying to scale my way. I think I slip and I fall here. You can see me slide down the hill.
Yep.
Eventually I make it up there, and so there's one of the slings that we spoke about earlier.
What are the slings? Can you go
sling.
look at that?
There's a better shot of the sling so they're on the left side. It's very faint.
I see it right to the left of that cursor. Yeah.
And so
yeah.
It was actually somebody. At first, I think in one of my early videos, I hypothesized that it was a head wrap or something until an archaeologist and a few other people, which is also what's just really awesome about making these videos, because I don't have all the information, and it becomes a really awesome community effort when feedback is received, and sometimes people are sending me locations, and so it's. The interpersonal feedback is great. And so somebody pointed out that this was actually a sling. You can see there's a little slit in the middle of it, and that's where a stone would go.
So it's a weapon. They're using that to like kill animals or to like defend themselves, or
likely to defend themselves, I think. The theory I had at another site where I found a bunch of these, and it felt like there was a massive battle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so these are roughly 2,000 to 2,800 years old, I guess, in that range.
Yep.
Okay.
And I mean, you're just seeing bones and cotton everywhere.
Right. And again, the cotton was used to wrap the bones and to preserve the bodies. Were they like mummified? Were they attempting to mummify them?
Yeah. So the mummify. Oh, and here's maize that they were buried with. So the best point of reference is in that on the PowerPoint, how they were buried at Chachia Cemetery. So they were mummified, and they would actually take out the internal organs and clean those and put them back in, and then have them in the seated position like this, and this is how they were interred. So this is some of the artifacts that were at these burial sites.
Wow.
I mean, beautiful. Just absolutely. The one on the right, you can see the nose is actually protruding from the spout.
Oh yeah. So that's like there's 2 eyes around that.
Yeah,
nose,
there's 2 eyes. Yep.
Wow. It's beautiful. So what are the looters? I mean, that's broken, obviously. So the looter doesn't want that. But are they taking full intact pieces like that, intact pottery?
I mean, I imagine I think this is just a theory. I think a lot of this stuff, it's just kind of reckless when they're digging for things. And so all you see is pottery shards. And,
right.
There's a lot of vessels that I come across that it was kind of clear that they were, they broke them to see what was inside. But, I typically think that they're looking for metals. And so all this other stuff, like the bones, are just discarded. Wow. I mean, just frivolously discarded. The pottery's discarded.
Everything except metal, I guess, right?
That's what it would appear.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy. To destroy 3,000 years of history just looking for some gold or silver or whatever. That's crazy, man.
So this is this is actually a pretty significant. I wouldn't realize how significant it was until after I came back and did my research. A lot of times when I make my videos, I'll go out in the field, and it's when I come back and start putting together a video for YouTube where I dig hard into the literature. And what I'm standing in there on the right side, that is one piece of giant ceramic.
Wow.
I'm 5'11", so just this thing was 6 feet almost. So one was documented, and somebody sent me an old picture from some article about it, but I have not been able to find anything in the current modern record that is this large. The only thing comparable is actually in Rome.
Wow.
In Rome, right around the same time, ironically, the Dolium. So these giant vats that they would make of ceramic, and I mean large enough. Not saying they were fitting people in there, but large enough to fit a person. And they would put them underground to like ferment wine and things like that. And so the ironic that there they are.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But in Peru, there's nothing like this. And so I'm walking around this site, and I just see this big hole in the ground. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I mean, that thing is thick. It is several inches thick. And so I imagine either A, it was used for a burial, that somebody important was buried there, or when you're burying stuff under the desert like this, it helps to preserve it. It helps to cool things. And so my firm belief is, like, if this is comparable to the Roman practice, this isn't an isolated artifact. There have to be many more of these buried under the sand.
Right.
So it's like, let's get some funding and go find some of them, because to date, there's nothing really on the record that says that they were doing this or were even capable of firing something this big. It's not my craftsmanship expertise. I don't even know how you would fire something like that.
No idea. Right. Yeah, that's the mystery, is like, how could you, I mean, you can see the wall poking up on that thing. It's got to be 3 inches thick.
It's super thick.
Yeah, that's crazy. So in this area, there could be hundreds of those underground. There's just no way of knowing until somebody gets out there and digs, right?
Well, and in this area, so again, like using like the satellite or the drone, you can definitely see the structures that are still there buried. You can see the outlines of them, and it's just it's a lack of funding. It's a lack of interest. You know, if a place isn't going to get a lot of tourism, then why are they going to clean it up or spend all the money or time or energy? And you know, I just can't help but think what ends up getting lost. You know, what aren't we ever going to see because it gets looted? Or I mean, not to shift the conversation fully, but there are many sites I came across that just don't exist anymore because they're corporate agriculture. It just comes in and wipes out an entire site. An entire site, it's just gone.
Right.
No documentation, no study. And so
yeah, so the walls, when you look at it from above ground and you're looking with your drone footage that you got, and you're seeing all these geometric shapes, mostly squares and rectangles. Those are, I guess, the remnants of the tops of walls that were there that are now buried underground. Is that right?
The tops of walls, or it depends on which area. The tops of walls, or the foundations.
Okay.
Because whatever events, there were some places that were just utterly decimated. So like, if you fast forward here on this video, when I climb up to some of the structures, you'll see you can't even make out. There you go. So I imagine those were walls that were stacked higher.
Right.
So at some point, some event knocked it all down.
Right. And these were just like villages and towns and whatnot. But then there's also people buried everywhere. Like you're burying people within the town itself. I mean, what is?
Well, The burials were separate.
Okay.
The burials were on the subsequent opposite ridges. But there was a practice where, it's at one of the other sites. If you fast forward in this video, so in this area, what we just saw was thatch. In this area, the practice was to use the reeds from the valley. The reeds would grow closer to the water source where the river was, and this thatch would be used as roofs. Right? You would thatch your roof, put some adobe mud to solidify it, and you would have a roof. Here, you're finding the thatch being unearthed and unexcavated, and there are walls at this site, which again, this site, no name, where there's structure going meters into the ground, and the looters were digging. They broke through the roofs. So something happened here that covered this entire site up.
Right. And what about like water? I mean, looks like it's out in the middle of the desert, like it just totally dry area. How were they getting water to all the people in the community?
So the river isn't too far away.
Okay.
The river was accessible. Now, how much water you would get from the river? I imagine this has been desert for a fairly long time, which is why like the mummies are preserved so well. I do imagine that it was a bit more fertile, but they were masters at. We're talking the Nazca and the Paracas, so it was before the Wari, but eventually the Wari, they introduced the layered terracing. This was prior to the layered terracing. This site wasn't too far from the river, so I don't think that was a questionable, it was a sustainable source, I would imagine. But they became brilliant at like tapping into the underground water tables or using terracing to, this area gets, I don't know, half an inch of rainfall a year. It's nothing, but this is a unique thing I was studying. So the geology of that area of the coast of Peru, because of the Humboldt current, what ends up happening is you get this layer of fog and cloud coming from the coast before the Andes. So sometimes as you're driving up into the Andes, you can literally just look out and you're on top of the clouds. Those clouds have precipitation, so they knew how to access the very little like dew that would come from it. So I just found that out recently.
Okay, so yeah, what else? I mean, so when you're walking around, what else are you seeing? Is there anything else that you're seeing out there on the ground that you kind of haven't talked about or covered? What else is sprawled out?
Yeah, let's think about where I want to go next here. There was the sandal back there. Yeah, right there.
So 2,000-year-old sandal just sitting there on the ground that looters just dug up. I mean, tops of pottery, shards everywhere. The rocks, I guess, are probably former walls and former structures. You've got the roofs, the thatched roofs that are all over the place. You've got cotton from the burials. That's a rope.
That's a shoe. That's a sandal.
That's a sandal. Oh, okay.
It's, if you play it a little bit, it zooms in, but that I imagine that was a sandal.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, for sure. It's not in terrible shape.
No.
2,000-year-old sandal. That's what they looked like, huh?
So it's just the history that is just sitting there.
Right.
Right.
I mean, it's destroyed, right? I mean, how much of it do you think is actually left? If somebody was to take a big excavation team out there, unlimited funds, I mean, are there still areas that you can go out there and be able to, find like undisturbed stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's there are, like I said, several sites that were just barely touched. This, I don't know, you see this a lot in like the Moche regions, which is a bit further north, but even here in the south, I mean, it seems like once a local community or a farmer would find something, like they would kind of go ham. But there's not a lack of unexcavated sites. You just have to have the grit to kind of go out there and do it. But there's pyramids out there that are, I mean, I remember you had Brian on the show. I was watching that, and one of the sites he mentioned, you know, the Nazca were a pyramid building culture, and there's a site out there in the desert where there are huge adobe bricks that, and everything from the satellite surveying would indicate pyramid structures. So and they go deep for meters. So there's untouched stuff there. There's 100% untouched stuff.